Hello.
What's
How
going
you
on,
doing
Mary?
tonight?
Doing
Listen,
good. What's happening over there with you?
I'm feeling good. A toast to you in the midnight show.
Let me get my Dasani water and click it with you. What's going on? It's always a beautiful thing seeing you on a Saturday night, Mary. Always a beautiful thing.
I
You know,
know
and,
it's
and look like we got a lot to talk about tonight too, don't we?
we sure do. I was sitting here as she was playing the intro, and I'm like, dude, that's really looking good. We starting to look like a real show around here.
Yeah, that's the way you roll, though. You don't play around. I respect your gangster.
Thank you so much, Kano. Well, tonight we about to get into something real hot. This is part two, discussing why are men of color waiting so long to get married. And we did part one. I'm gonna let you recap on that, and we're gonna dig into some new content tonight.
Yeah, well, the thing to it is, we really did cover a lot of ground last time, didn't we?
Yes, we
Some of
did.
those comments, oh man, that page was live. It was hot,
It was
and it
hot.
was the 4th of July. It was the 4th of July, though, Mary.
It was. So,
but
Kano,
you said
I
it.
had yes.
Go ahead, I'm
I
sorry.
had
What were
the
you saying?
opportunity to talk to a gentleman today that was I'm getting my house painted. And I was talking to him today. I was like, do you mind if I just ask you a couple questions? He wasn't married. He's been dating his lady for 14 years. So,
Oh,
Kana, I asked him, why haven't you got married? I thought it'd be cool to get a little interview in before we do the show tonight, right? So
yeah.
he tells me I'm not ready, Kana. I said
After
after
14,
14 years.
woo, after 14 years, you know, all I want to, hey, you see, look, I don't want to blow that brother up because the thing too is evidently he and his woman, they got a good arrangement laid out and they got a great understanding, and it looked like it works for him. But woo,
Okay,
that's
I
a
can go a
long
little
time. No,
further. So,
okay.
Kano, I had to ask him after he said 14 years, I had to go there. I said, if you're not ready
Yeah.
in 14 years, what is it that you're not ready about, Kano?
Yeah.
So he told me,
Yeah.
he said, Mary, we argue a lot and there's a lot of ups and downs. So I said to him, Kano, what's the difference of having ups and downs in a relationship, dating? You're with her, and if you was married, you're still having that same ups and downs. You're not going nowhere, she's not going nowhere. And you know what he told me? Just
What?
in case you decide to go somewhere it's easier, he don't want to go through a divorce stage. And I'm getting ready to tell you something that's really deep. He said the
Yeah.
marriages that he have seen in his lifetime, he's over 40. They have all dated for many years. And when they decided to get married, they were divorced within 2 years. So his experience. So I'm saying this to say, I'm finding that a lot of men that's waiting to get married, they have saw a lot of bad marriages and they're afraid, Kano.
That could be a part of it. That can absolutely be a part. But let me give this brother news flash. You say you've been together with him for 14 years?
Yes.
Well, in the state of Michigan, we got something called common law marriage. He's common law. He's married right now. If he tried to break apart from that woman, she's getting half his stuff. So, bruh, whether you want to go ahead and give her the ceremony that makes it official or you choose not to, you already married. But the other side of it is this, that's a reality though, Mary. There's a lot of people that are gun shy because of some of the things they would have seen, probably from either family members, close friends, or they might have experienced something, a little bit earlier in life when it came to the dating and relationships. And some of them are
Yes.
gun shy. I've seen people like that too. I've talked to quite a few brothers. Matter of fact, what's really crazy about it, you got women. This kind of flipped around a little bit. You got women thinking this way too. I know women right now. They won't marry. They got guys doing everything in their power to go ahead and ask them to walk down the aisle with them, but they choose not to do it. So I'm telling you, this
Really?
has been. Oh yeah, this is flipped around. I'm telling y'all women, y'all rebels nowadays. Back in the day, used to be y'all sit back here wait for the guy. Yeah, y'all not even playing that no more. I'm thinking that's not right. I like it when it's no fun when the rabbit got the gun. I'm just saying.
Well,
But but it also goes to though, Mary. It also goes to the point where we were talking about in our last show. You know, what I mean, we talked about women have to go ahead and know their worth, and he's talking about the fact I think you believe you talking about how your grandmother said, why go ahead and buy the cow if you get the milk for free. I mean, that's a part of it too. But only thing is now it's a little bit of a flip side to it. You got women, y'all turning, a man's situation into it's a pawn piece on the chessboard right now. They'll use it when they want to, or they'll like to go ahead and pass on it. But nevertheless, still, it's just a different breed. The whole dating thing, it is kind of for the birds. The relationship thing too, it's kind of bad because the reality is, look, if you find somebody that you really like, I mean, you really feeling, the thing to anything in life that's worth having, you got to go ahead and take a risk and take a shot at. It just is,
right.
So you got to go, you got to go ahead and man up a woman up and go ahead and make that push. Go for it.
You know what, Kano, you have a point. I also wanted to talk to some younger guys, right? So I have my nephews between 23 and 28 of age. And Kano, this was really deep for me when I sit down and had the conversation. They said that the standards are so high that they want you to be making a certain amount of money. They want you to be driving a certain car, dressed in a certain way. You know what he told me? Social media have the women messed up in their age group, because he says they see so many guys flashing the money, the cars, the jewelry, the houses in Kano. A lot of times all that stuff be rented and they don't even own it. My nephew told me that it's so hard to date a girl and she think in reality because of social media. What do you think about that?
I mean, well, it's true. I mean, the thing is, you got people that are able to go ahead and create whole new personas right now on social media. I mean, you go ahead and open up a Facebook account. You go ahead and you go outside and you see somebody down the street that has a Lamborghini. Take a picture next to it, and then go ahead and say it's yours. I mean, you post it up, which that's called that false advertisement for real. But the reality is this. This what makes it really bad. There are so many women that are going for that. So he is absolutely right. The reality is this. You got a lot of boss women out here. Hey, look, ladies, if you're gonna be a boss woman, be a boss woman. Your boss womanness should not go ahead and make you feel like you have to be contingent for you to have a guy that's gonna go ahead and pretend to go ahead and be a baller. And the reality is, a lot of these men, you got some men out here. Let me tell you something. I never forget this. A guy who ended up becoming my mentor, the first black millionaires I ever met, took me in and he told me, he told me, he said, listen, son, I want you to always remember something. Real bad boys move in silence. If you got your stuff together, you don't need to go ahead and flash what you got going on. Because, I mean, the reality is this, and he was right. I'm talking to a millionaire, and he always rocked just a basic polo shirt, a basic watch, he never wore a necklace, never had any rings on besides his wedding ring. I mean, but this man was walking around worth about $10 million. So, I mean, let's be practical about this. I mean, men, first of all, you set yourself up for failure, because if you sit over there and you start sending this woman all these pictures and flossing like you got something more than what you got, don't be mad when she turns around and she finds out you don't got everything you're trying to lay out and say you do have. And then when she started going ahead and going sideways with you because you led off wrong right off the bat. But ladies, come on, I need y'all to go ahead and get off this gold digger wagon too. Don't be running around here trying to go ahead and pick a mate off of his wallet size. That's ridiculous. Because
when you talk about the part of the man, being, bossing up and don't own anything that he's taking the pictures in the social media thing. So how do you feel? We also had the conversation, Kano, and I'm asking you because it's about a black man's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
They have ran into ladies that have 2, 3 children. Really, they really not making any money. They driving, ordinary or hoopy, but they want the expectations of the man to have so much. And what they were trying to say is, don't expect so much from me when you really don't got nothing yourself, but we can get something together. You understand what I'm saying?
I do. If you're asking me, I think anybody who's going out here looking for someone to be their better half, you should be looking for a teammate. Someone's going to
Right.
go and equally bring it to the pot. Women should not be sitting over there waiting for some guy to go ahead and drop, a suitcase of money up in her lap and say, "Oh yeah, baby, let's live good for the rest of our lives." Why don't you go ahead and contribute something to it? Bill, come on, it's a team. When you win, baby, the team wins. And that's the way we got to go ahead and look at this. And then
Absolutely.
ultimately too, but the other side of that too, Mary, is this. And I'm gonna be really practical. I'm gonna be really transparent tonight. I had my cousin, who I love very dearly. So he's probably watching. Hey, Stephanie, what's going on? Well, I was sitting down. We were sitting down with my mother, my aunt, which is her mother, and my cousin. And of course they asked me about my love life, what's going on. And my cousin cut into me just like this. She said, Kano, he said, can I be honest with you, cousin? I said, yeah, sure you can. She jumped up and said, Kano, I've seen all the women that you've dated for over the last 25 years. He said, I'll give it to you. He said, they've been extremely successful and they're absolutely gorgeous. But can I ask you a question and can I make an observation? I said, yeah, what you talking about? She said, Kano, could it be the reason why that these things don't work out for you and they don't be the right ones for you because you were looking at their resume and not their content?
Whoa.
I'm like, damn, Stephanie, could you have waited? Could you not did this in front of my mama? Could you have waited till we got, could you pull me outside and say it? But the reality is that was a hard thing for me to go ahead and hear Mary, what my cousin said. But the reality is when I evaluated it, she's right. There was a lot of great women that try with every fiber of their being to go ahead and make themselves accessible. But I kind of overlooked some of that because of what I was looking for, what I thought would look good next to me, from a resume standpoint, the power couple thing. And the thing is, you can have some bad women out here who got it going on and more intelligence than some of these people that quote unquote power players. But nevertheless, you overlook some of those blessings because I was so fixated on having what looked good, and I had a variety too. I had, anchor women, doctor. I'm just kind of going, that's bad. All these people with status, but it didn't mean anything.
And you wasn't happy
at the end of the day, at the end of the day, Mary, like my other best friend told me, he said, Kano, he said, with all this you had going on, man, when it's all said and done, what do you got to show for it? And I'm like,
yes.
And once again, I like to crack my best friend in the forehead too for saying that, but he's true. It's true. He's telling the truth.
So, Kano, I want to hear this from a man's point of view. Kano, how do you feel about one of the things we discussed too? They say they have met women and, you see a woman, she's looking good. Once they got to know each other and, got comfortable, once they took off their butt, took off the padded bras, took off the wig, took off the lashes, took off the nails, they say it was a scary situation. So would you say, would you rather, a woman just be who she are? You got things now we can put in, hold the stomachs in, butts in. And I had a cousin that actually, he said it was unbelievable when she came out of all of the garments. Whether the woman is thick, small, skinny, or whatever, would you rather a woman just be who she is, that you see what you're dealing with? Or is it nothing wrong in your eyes for a woman to put on all these things to build this body, and once you guys get home, she take everything off you? So he said it was scary.
Well, number one, I do think it's a shame that society has put it in such a position where now you got people that feel like vanity has so much weight that they'll go ahead and basically do any and everything humanly imaginable to make themselves look like a certain way. Right? I call that Jessica Rabbit look. That full hourglass thing that women are shooting for. And it goes the other side. Usually, it's more economical for men because men don't usually have girdles and things of that nature holding their stuff in. But the reality is this. Look, ladies, if you don't like how you look or how you position, then why don't you just go ahead and work on creating a change for yourself? But when you start talking about putting all these false this on and false that on, ultimately you're not letting someone really see the real you. So, because the real you is kind of hid up underneath the fake lashes and the fake breasts and the fake butts and I've been a victim of that. Where I ended up meeting a woman and man, she took off and literally she had a girdle that had everything smushed in. And she even had this is the first time I ever saw a padded panties, I think is what they call it, where it makes your butt look like it's full. Yeah, I've done it. I fell a victim to that before. And the reality is it's not a good feeling because it's a very uncomfortable. At that point, it becomes uncomfortable because it's like, okay, what I was perceiving this to be was not what it was. And I felt like I kind of got indirectly lied to. And so now I was trying to think of an exit strategy, without trying to hurt someone's feelings neither, but nevertheless still, because, that was their choice. They're well within their rights to go and do those things, but I really wish they wouldn't. But, but in this day and time, people are looking for that false and fake. They're looking for the Kim Kardashians, look, the Melissa Ford look. Yeah, they're looking for the, and that's what society's is kind of giving you. Every time you turn on any type of music channel or video, I mean, you see these women look like boom, bam, and bow. And so that's what guys are looking for now. And so women feel like they have to live up to that.
And it's unfortunate that our young girls are being raised with the same mindset, seeing all of these videos and things on TV. And it's very important that we let them know that they are beautiful and that they don't have to do all of that. And that goes it goes back to another question I was asking, talking about why men are waiting so long to get married. The bottom line is this: if you look at statistics, our black men they say 50% less to get married than any other culture. But Kano, if we just learn, I call it Black Love Matters. If we just learn to come together, you bring something to the table, I bring something to the table, and we grow together. There's no need of us to wait. If we're dating 14 to 15 years, I want to ask you this, Kano. If you're dating a man, this is just your opinion. Do you believe there's a time limit after 4 or 5 years? Do you think 6 years a woman should start to think about, is this really going to happen from a man's point of view? Because it don't take you 10 years to know if you want to marry somebody. Tell me about that, Kano.
Well, what I'm gonna say is this, and it goes back to it kind of piggybacks off the conversation we had last week. You have to set expectations. The bottom line to it is this: look, ladies, a man, we're not mind readers. So if you come in and you leading with sex, and we thinking we got a good sexual arrangement thing going on, we're friends with benefits, then we gonna go ahead and keep going for the benefit. But so when you want to go and start changing up that whole, see, a lot of times you'll find women want to go and change it up, and some of them don't want to go ahead and say anything until maybe 2 or 3 years down the line. But by that time, it got real good. That because it goes right back to the whole analogy. Why buy the cow if I get the milk? So you got to go ahead and look at it from this standpoint. Set your expectation, and right off the rip. Because if you see this guy and you're feeling them, ladies, don't go ahead and sell yourself short by saying, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and keep giving it to him and think that it's gonna go ahead and make him change his mind. No, it doesn't usually work that way. Now you do get guys that get a little hooked too. Sometimes it's from the sexual side of it. Sometimes it's just, that backdoor friend thing. You start out being one thing, but the friendship starts rearing this beautiful place. And next thing you know, you start adapting, you start adopting, not adopting, you start gravitating towards that friendship. And that friendship is the best thing the best relationship you're gonna have is gonna start with a good, strong friendship. So that's what usually happens. But I'm telling you, ladies, if you don't set the expectation right now, right off the rip, you can't be mad at the man. You cannot be mad at that man. Because the bottom line, he took exactly what you said you was going to go ahead and give an offer. And, and he went with it. And he was loving it. And, and he was liking it. You kind of were liking it too. But, but women should always think about this too. Y'all, it goes back to the fundamentals. Men are egotistical by nature. Women are emotional by nature. Ladies, if you're going to go mess around with a man long enough, your emotions are going to get involved. And when it do, sometimes it makes it a little bit easier to try to detach or get some of the things you want, unless you establish it.
Okay, Kano. So this was a different conversation because I just been talking to men, trying to learn, their point and how they think. One gentleman told me, Kano, he believes that the side chicks play such a role. You had a man that have a wife at home that's doing the cooking, cleaning kids, and then you have the side chick that's doing everything else when it comes to sexual relationship, and the emotional lifting them up emotionally. But a lot of times we don't think about when you have the woman at home, she's working, she's cleaning, she has the kids, and she just don't have the energy sometimes to do what that side chick will do. What do you, what, you know what I'm saying? It's just very unfair because when you are taking care of household, I'm washing, I'm cleaning, I'm cooking, I have the kids trying to satisfy my husband, and then you had a side chick. He told me that women on the side are so, what word did he use? They're so understanding. It allows them to have their cake and ice cream too. If they can get out with them, they will. On holidays, they can, they will. If they can't, they won't. If I see you out with your wife, they know not to look at me. And sometimes because men are able to have their cake and ice cream too, one, that they think if I get married, why marry her? I have both. And the ones that are married figure like whether even if I'm happy or not happy, if I can have both of both worlds, I can stay in this marriage and have what I have on the side. Where we're so much more understanding than a male because you would you say that men are not in more agreement knowing that you have a husband at home or another man and you the second man? Give me your opinion on that. Because I have heard a lot of stories about that side chick. They're like, I'm cool. I love being a side chick. Men don't seem to be as cool being second. Would you say?
Well, absolutely not. I'm telling you, we stingy. We egotistical and we stingy. And I don't want nobody all up in my cup. I don't want nobody handing my cookie jar. Well, only hand in that jar is supposed to be mine. So yeah. So sometimes we find ourselves stuck in a double standard dynamic, because it goes back to the conversation we were having last week. A lot of guys, we can't take that. We can't take the fact that somebody else got their hands around our woman. But the reality is this: when it comes to that side chick thing, I want to make sure we understand this. When you offer yourself up as a side chick, yes, you do make it easy. And sometimes with any relationship, Mary, you go ahead and you're married to somebody, or if you forget marriage, let's just say you're in a relationship with somebody for 2-3 years. Of course, that honeymoon stage is going to eventually wear out when you first get started. So then when it starts getting a little tough, it's not going to be easy. You got two different people, two different personalities trying to figure out a way to go ahead and coexist. And by all natural standards, someone who's highly emotional and someone who's highly egotistical usually would not blend by no stretch of the imagination. But the thing is, you went, oh, y'all look so good, you smell so good. That's why we gotta have you. We gotta have you. And that's the reason why that's the reason why it goes down. But the reality is this, ultimately, these side chicks, I hope you understand that there's a good chance that man is not going to leave you for his side chick. I mean, for you, he's not going to leave his main woman for you, because ultimately you just been giving them the free benefits. You've been giving them all the bells, some of these fun bells and whistles. You've been giving them the arcade game. But eventually, when you get tired and done playing, you going home. So that's where the quality comes in. But ultimately, though, sometimes men, if this is where women can go ahead and go wrong with this situation. Sometimes women can be so hard on a man. Men, you can't emasculate a man. And some of y'all, with y'all status kind of elevating like the way it is, y'all bosses. A lot of women out here just killing the game. And because of that, I think a lot of women, they misconstrue that and they come home and they hit that man from some hard angles. And if you put that man to that point, 9 times out of 10, once you bust his ego up, you're gonna have a little bit of an issue in your household. Period. Okay.
Once the ego is busted.
Yeah, I mean that's what we are with it. So as far as what I think the woman ain't gonna get what she wants. The side chick ain't gonna eventually get what she wants. If she wants that. Some women have just gotten to a point too where they're like, listen, we know the ratio is heavily against us. There's 3.5 women in the world for every man. Look, at this point, I'm just happy to go in and have a warm body half the time. And if I can go and have a warm body half the time, I don't have to worry about someone stressing me out about where you've been, what you're doing, who you with. Some women see that as being easy, so they go for it. It's a benefit to them.
Yeah, it is.
Right. A relationship is stressful, Mary. And no matter how you look at it, all relationships have some degree of stress in it. It's just how well you manage it and how deep the stress goes.
Yeah, that was another comment that was made earlier when I talked about why won't you get married. Uh, they was like, I don't want to give up my freedom. I said, freedom. Uh, well, if you're in the right relationship, is a part of freedom because you have to do things differently. If you're in a relationship, you're not going to move the same as you were if you were
Mhm,
single. I would hope not. But in his
mhm.
head, he believes that once you say I do, then you are giving up your freedom, you know?
Oh, yeah, well, see, but that's crazy because in all actuality, if the fundamentals of your relationship is right, it should be the same anyways, shouldn't it?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
because you go through the ceremony is one thing, but the way it's kind of like that whole analogy. You don't change a winning game, a baseball analogy. If you win in a ball game, you don't change the game plan in the bottom of the ninth. That was what was winning for you that got you to the altar for you to go ahead and commit to yourself like that.
yeah,
Marriage,
yeah,
a wedding is a ceremony. It should not be define the fundamentals of what your relationship is. It just shouldn't. That relationship needs to be excellent. It needs to be stellar and beautiful, and also too beautiful and flawed. It's just
yeah,
when the parts that are flawed, you got to go ahead and be able to be willing to go ahead and band together to go ahead and fight through that. That's how you. That's
absolutely.
how you go ahead and make. I mean, that's how your mother and father made it. How many years married? Talking about 50, what? 56 years? 57 years?
56 years, yes, 56.
56 years your parents been married. My parents were married 43 years. And the only thing that broke my parents up was death. Bottom
Yeah,
line, and I know it wasn't easy every day in that household between them two. But nevertheless, still, I mean, they made it something really special. I mean, I saw when they had the bad time, saw when they had the good time. But nevertheless, still, it was very, very rarely did they bring that around us. And I mean, and it was beautiful and it lasted. I really wish there was more of that old school love that's present now. I think a lot of that's out the window. But
yeah.
there was a lot more marriages that lasted back then. Nowadays, shoot, people they changing marriages like they change drawers. And you
Well,
know
you
what?
know what? It's the thing of it is, Kano, divorce is more like a first option. Where back in the day, when you talk to older marriages like my mom and friends of the family, they say, you know what they say, Kano, divorce is not an option. We're going to work
Absolutely.
it out. Where today, divorce is an option. It's like one of the top options. I'm not happy no more. This not working, and I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? Where they were,
Mhm.
they come from a different cloth. And on a serious note, Kano, marriages is what helps create marriages, families, help create communities, Kano. See,
I
when
agree.
you have communities of more single households than you have of married couples, it changed the whole community, neighborhoods, the whole thing. And people don't look at it like that. But what makes up a positive community is really families. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I just can remember the neighborhoods that I grew up in. I split my time on the east side of Pontiac, on one half where my grandmother was at, and then the other half was on the north side, where my parents lived. And I'm gonna tell you, it was even all through. I mean, even in the hood, we
Yeah,
have because they always everything is crummy in the hood. No, even in the hood on the east side, there was a lot of families together at one particular point in time.
yeah,
And they all raised us. I mean, in Northside, all up and down my street, it was husband and wife combinations.
yes,
And it was been so. I was fortunate enough to go ahead and see what it looks like for couples to stay together for these long periods of time. But
absolutely.
that was also the reason why to marry, though. That if listen, I'm a strong believer in this, and I think a lot of men sometimes feel pressure to go ahead and feel like we have to be men, and women do too. Women, y'all think your biological clock is ticking, so
Yeah,
I need to go ahead and get married to this man fast. Men, we get to feeling this pressure. Oh, you need to get married. If you don't get married, then something wrong with you. You're scattered. You're
yeah,
all over the place. You want to be a gentleman or a pimp. But the reality is this: listen, if it's not right before you say I do, it's not going to be right after you say I do. So that you got to be responsible. What would have
yeah,
been irresponsible would have been, I was engaged not too long ago. What would have been irresponsible is if I knew that we were broken and everything about that wasn't right for me to go for it because that was the popular thing to do. That would have been a grave mistake, because that would have been in divorce court. Absolutely. So the responsible thing was for me to call it off. It's hard. No one likes to break up. Your families are intertwined in the whole 9 yards, but you got to go and take that heat now, because when you start combining households like that from that, because it's contractual. When you go into I do, it absolutely becomes contractual. Then and you violate that contract, a lot of things come out of that. 9 times out of 10, usually you're giving up half of your stuff. 50-50. So
absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. And a big part to me plays when I think about my neighborhood as well. I'm thinking going up, down the street, across the street, Kano, it might have been 2 houses where it was single household. They were married. It was families. It was a husband and a wife working and raising this family together. That's all we saw. So now statistics are saying our children that's growing up, Kano, all they're seeing is single households. So guess what's probably going to happen? The next generation, as we go, it'll be less, the marriages will be less and less if we don't turn things around. All we saw, Kano, if you became pregnant without being married, it was like a big deal. You know what I'm saying? A lot of women were sent down soft, sent off to have a baby. The auntie was raising a baby, or an older sister, and the child came back. That was how we were raised. You was afraid. It was a no-no. Well, that's how we were raised. Generations now is like, oh, it's really not a big deal. I see some of the baby showers, they largest weddings, and not married. Back in the day, you talking about a baby shower, your mother not giving you a baby shower and you pregnant unwedded. So you see the difference in how the generations have changed. Unless we make a change, it will get worse and worse. Do you agree?
Absolutely, Mary. And the bad part about it is I feel so sorry for these kids. Look at the type of example we're giving them. Every time you turn around, see, now we're going to my wheelhouse. That's what I do for the most part for a living, is I deal with kids and family dynamics. And the dialogue that come out of these kids' mouths is amazing. The girls, they don't look up to, keeping it real, they don't look up to like the Michelle Obamas of the world. They don't look up to that. Michelle Obama, a woman who highly educated, who loved, who has a functioning family that's been going. They've been married, I think it was 19 or 20 years they've been married thus far. You know what I'm saying? That's not what they're looking to. They're looking to people like Cardi B, who's running around here talking about what her body count is, and every rap lyric that comes out of her mouth. And then you look at reality TV where these women are bouncing back and forth from different dudes, and then dudes doing the same thing, bouncing back and forth. That is what these kids are aspiring to go ahead and gravitate to. Aspiring to get to. And that is scary, because wow, the whole institution of marriage and togetherness is broken. And how can you build if you're fractured? Yes. If you and I are married, and you and I can't go ahead and we doing our own thing, and we're off, and we don't respect the integrity of what it is you and I are supposed to have committed to. You tell me, what do you think the kids gonna do in the household? They ain't gonna. Who they gonna follow? Mom and dad is their first heroes.
Kano, I do. I feel sorry for him as well. Actually, Kano, that's a show. Maybe we could get a couple of our young teenagers to come on, male and female, and hear from.
I don't know if we ready, Mary. Some of them kids, they raw. They raw. I'm telling you, they'll give it to us with both barrels. Hey, they make both of us here. Oh yeah. We both would be in the corner in the fetal position after they give us some of this real. Yeah. But that might not be a bad idea though. Just to kind of give another perspective to let people go in and see, what we are putting out. Maybe some of the adults don't realize how deep we're affecting this younger generation.
Saying, Kano, that's my point right there. I think that you're absolutely right. They really don't realize what we are doing and what examples that we are setting, Kano. I'm going to say this and we'll wrap up. I even look at some of the pictures in the 50s, 60s, Kano. Those women were so classy, looked so beautiful. Kano, they wasn't half dressed, and they were beautiful.
I know, Mary. And the thing to it is, Yeah, I mean, when you start looking at some of those, I mean, even the civil rights movement, even
Yeah,
through all that madness and chaos, those women were walking, marching. They look, I mean, they
yeah.
look flawless. It was so well kept. It was such a, but that's also the reason why Martin Luther King was always in trouble with Coretta Scott King, because he was always sitting over here looking at some of those well put together women. But
They
rest in
were,
peace, Dr. King.
Kano.
Yeah, they were. You know, it was, but it's just a lot of women right now are sex sales. And I think that's the whole dynamic that's been pushed out here into this world. And these
Yeah,
kids have adopted it. You know, it started with the little Kims. I mean, even we had raunchy women back. You remember Millie Jackson? Millie
yeah,
Jackson was about as raunchy as they got. But
yeah,
nevertheless, still, it didn't go ahead and affect it where you had these women sitting over here walking around with thongs on, with nothing
right.
else on top of it. I mean,
Yes,
but nowadays, you know, Little Kim, Nicki Minaj, you know,
yes,
Cardi B. I mean, and in every reality TV series you look at, from all your love and hip hops, your basketball
yeah,
wives, you just run
yeah,
the gambit. These kids don't have a chance. And then ultimately, the biggest reality series is when they go home, come into their household, and watch how their mama and daddies, or their lack thereof, mamas and daddies in the household act. Yeah, I mean, these kids don't got a chance.
they right. Well, Kano, this is another awesome show. We talked about some great things, but I always ask you the important question out of all the things we talked about, what would you like for anyone in the audience to really, really go ahead and pay attention to, Kano?
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. This is what I got hit with. I got hit 4 times with this. What is the complexion of sex in a relationship? That's what I was asked for. I'm just kind of streaming all what all four of them said. Basically, they want us to kind of talk about, what place does sex have in a relationship? How deep does it go? How, what is the severities of the peaks and valleys of, the sexual act as it goes along into the integrity of your marriage or your relationship. So that
Yeah,
might be one we want to. That one right there. Woo, you better get ready. That's like World War II, III, IV, and V come together, meeting up with H1N1 and Corona all at once. That's gonna be highly combustible, and it's gonna be highly contagious. So
yeah. And communication, communication, communication. That's
it's
all I
true.
can say.
It's
It makes a
yeah,
difference. Well, I'm
it
just saying,
absolutely does.
go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mary. No, I'm listening to you.
I'm just saying that I believe, Kano, I believe in us. I believe that we are changing. I believe that the more we have the conversations with each other and be more honest with each other, things will be better because we have to do better for our future generation.
I
Kano,
agree.
we know the way we've been doing things is not working. If you keep doing the same thing, you get the same results. And if nothing else, we owe it to our children, just like our ancestors feel they left us with so many blueprints to follow, Kano. And I sort of feel like we're letting the generation down because because of them, we're able to do so many things. And when we read about them, what will our future generation have to read about us, Kano?
Well, that's scary because the thing, and when you start looking at the storyboards and the storylines that was left behind, I mean, historically, I mean, taking all the way back to, I mean, the institution of slavery, you take it all the way back to periods of Reconstruction, Jim Crow. I mean, look at those
Yeah,
stories. I mean, yeah, it was a lot of tragedy in there, but it was some dynamic story that
yeah,
showed, the power of strength and unification, and also the power of family and commitment to the
yes,
community. Yeah, that I mean, but nowadays this right here is so scattered, and part of it is how the world is depict us as minorities, Americanized minorities. But the thing is,
yes.
change all that. All we gotta do is just come together and start providing a whole different picture to this. But we just won't. We don't understand the importance of it. And I think for us to have true change, we're going to have to really take a good look in the mirror at ourselves to go ahead and evaluate. And that's the toughest conversation in the world for you to have, is for you to go ahead and look yourself dead in the eye and be honest with yourself, because that's the only way we're going to be able to have some change. And until we get to that point, Mary, we're going to have a raggedy storyline with a raggedy outcome.
Kato, thanks again for such a great show. And I'll see you the next show, same time, same place. You have a good night.
Right, dude, saying appreciate you, Queen.
Yes, King.
Yes,